Can you experience the magic of Disney World while managing pots? Absolutely. In this episode, we'll share essential tips and insider hacks to help you navigate the parks comfortably and create unforgettable memories without the overwhelm. Even if you don't have pots, there will be some great nuggets for you too, I promise. Let's make your Disney dreams come true.
Ready for your fast pass to unforgettable adventures? Welcome to Talk Travel to Me. Featuring our Mickey Guru Travel Company expert travel advisors, this podcast will guide you in traveling with more ease, confidence, and a sprinkle of magic. Tune in for unique insights, insider info, tips, and personal travel stories that'll transform your journeys into exhilarating moments and lifelong memories. Fasten your seatbelt, grab your passport, let's embark, and let's talk travel.
Welcome to today's episode where we dive into the magical world of Disney with a special twist: how to navigate the parks and make the most of your trip when living with POTS. Postural or Orthostatic Tachycardia Syndrome. If you've ever wondered how to balance the thrills and joys of Disney World while managing your POTS symptoms, this episode is your ultimate guide to stress-free, joyful adventure. Grab your mouse ears because we're about to explore expert tips, insider hacks, and heartfelt stories to help you create unforgettable memories. Please help me welcome our two featured travel advisors for this episode, Jen Sutton and Hannah Winters. Ladies, please introduce yourself and maybe share a bit about how you ended up on this specific episode of Talk Travel to Me.
Hi, everybody. I'm Hannah. If you haven't caught me on any previous episodes of the podcast, then hi. I've been a guru for just about a year and a half now. I'm a Mainer, a mom of two, and a Potsy myself. So I'm excited to chat about how I navigate the parks and keep the magic going even when my body doesn't always want to cooperate.
I'm Jen. I have been a guru for just over a year now. I live in Chicago. I am a cat mom of two. And I am also a Potsy with some of the other comorbid stuff too. So some of that may come up as well.
Awesome. All right, ladies, let's start at the beginning. What is POTS?
POTS, or Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia Syndrome, is technically a condition of the autonomic nervous system, even though for most people it tends to present a little bit more with like heart-based symptoms. Most people experience really, really high heart rates, especially when standing. And the key is that jump in heart rate from a sitting or lying position to standing.
And is this something I shall point out to our listeners that I know a little bit about this because I have some Potsy friends here. But I'm going to come at it from the perspective of someone that doesn't know a whole heck of a lot. Is this something that people have, are they born with it, or is it something that develops, or is it a mix?
So it sort of depends on what the root cause is. For some people, it's rooted in a genetic condition that they've had since childhood, and the symptoms tend to present in teenage years. For others, it comes on with illness. A lot of people are experiencing it post long COVID. So there's a variety of ways you can sort of end up in this boat.
All right. So how does it affect travel, especially at a busy place like Disney World?
It definitely makes things interesting, that's for sure. I have to personally make sure I'm geared up, with everything that I could possibly need, which requires me to be carrying around more stuff than I might typically want to be carrying around, especially in the warmer months at the theme parks. And then I have to make sure that my travel party is people that understand what's up. They can be kind of flexible with plans or, being okay doing stuff without their fearless leader if I need to recharge. Disney already takes a ton of planning, obviously. But for me, I kind of have to have a plan A for if I'm doing well, and then a plan B for if I'm flaring.
All right. And I've heard you use that term before, I'm having a flare. Mm-hmm. So what does that look like or mean? How would you or maybe your travel companions know that you are having a flare? Or do you get advance warning? I don't think it's one of those things that you get a little alarm that goes off, right? It's how do we know that this is what's up?
Yeah. Well, so for me, I do use my watch and set like high heart rate alerts so that it is kind of like boop boop boop. And yep, you're wearing yours right now. I can see, Jen. Yes. And I mean, you can feel like you just start to feel yourself feeling kind of off. Your heart rate feels high, or for me, my blood pressure gets low, so my like extremities will feel cold even when it's not cold, and some palpitations happen for me, and I'll just be like, okay, all right, time for me to look at my heart rate history, decide how I need to handle this. So yeah, it's not like we're just, dropping to the ground in the middle of a theme park or anything with no warning
Well,
most of
thank
the
goodness.
time. Yeah.
Okay. So, what are the biggest challenges that travelers with POTS might face when visiting the theme parks?
One of the tricky things is because it does have a layer of unpredictability, I can be feeling amazing in the morning, and by afternoon, I can barely form a coherent sentence
Hmm.
Oh,
because my brain is just so done. Um, and so being able to make those adjustments and be okay with potentially missing things or adjusting plans. Um, we're big park hopper fans because there are some parks within Disney are more friendly to what I may need at any given time. So that can be a way to offset that challenge, especially for first time travelers if they don't know the tools that will help them. That's a huge challenge. Hannah and I have kind of figured out the things that we keep in our bag or talk a travel buddy into carrying for us if they're feeling really generous and how we go about things and the ways that we take care of ourselves. And so if you're not someone that travels a lot, especially not to theme parks, you may struggle with maintaining some of that routine that many of us are very dependent on to feel okay.
all right. So, are there any specific accommodations or assistance that Disney offers for guests with POTS or similar conditions?
Well, as a lot of us have heard, the DAS system has changed dramatically in recent times. So I know personally, I used to qualify for disability access with PODs, and now I no longer qualify. So thankfully, in my experience, I have been accommodated when I've needed to be accommodated in conjunction with, using Lightning Lane as much as possible. I've had a couple of times where I have been like, hey, it's, pretty hot right now. There's no way that I can do this queue. Like, would you be able to give me a return time? And thankfully, the handful of times that I've needed to ask, I have been accommodated. And then I don't know if you'd consider this an accommodation, but I like to use the first aid centers. Like, I love the first aid centers. There's one in every park. And if I need to just like take my meds and let them kick in, or I need to elevate my feet and not look like a weirdo lying on the ground with my feet up on a wall, which happens, but catch some AC, get a little rest, drink some Powerade, whatever. I'm a big advocate for the first aid centers.
I haven't had as much luck with being accommodated within the park. I think that so many people are just not familiar, and that's totally okay. But it is one of those things that you can't necessarily count on. But the first aid centers are phenomenal and a big recommend from me.
Mm-hmm.
From the outside looking in on this particular thing, I think one of the challenges likely is it is absolutely an invisible condition, right? Like if I were to approach either of you in the park, you are both young, vibrant. If you're not having a flare, there's there's no indication, right? Like I've actually seen Hannah in the theme park. I haven't had the pleasure of doing it with Jen yet, but Hannah can run circles around me when you're not having a flare, right? Like, because let's be real, I'm old and that's a big difference. You guys are younger, you have more stamina. Um, but I think that is one of those things that probably, if you're encountering a cast member that doesn't understand what POTS is,
Mm-hmm.
the real unfortunate thing I think is that there has been so many people over the years that have tried to abuse this DAS system,
Mm-hmm.
and that has that's changed how it's worked. I also, in full disclosure, think that a big part of the change is because Disney charges for lightning lanes and they do not charge for DAS access. And as you guys know, I'm like the biggest Disney fan out there, but that is problematic to me, and things that I've seen. And I feel like I want them to be really particular about giving access to the people that need it and not the people that are abusing the system. But they have not come to a place, quite frankly, like Universal does, like just down the street, where they are still providing that assistance for guests that have POTS and any other condition that requires a little bit of assistance while people are trying to enjoy the theme park with their family and friends. So it's disappointing. I am glad to hear that you have some level of success approaching cast members at the attractions and getting some assistance. And I would say if you approach someone and you don't get the help that you need, it's perfectly fine to nicely, kindly, respectfully ask to speak to a leader, because understanding that just the sheer number of cast members and knowing that they don't get the training that they need to interact with guests of every need, being, again, cannot say it enough. These cast members on the front line, they're not the ones that change the policies. They're not the ones that, are handling that piece. So just kindly asking for a leader and being, advocating for yourself is important, kindly. So we won't continue to beat that, but that's always my take on that, because I do think you need to advocate for yourself for sure. But kindly, because these folks are working hard too. It's time for Mickey Guru Mythbusters, where we clear up the confusion, crush the rumors, and help you travel smarter, not harder. Let's bust today's myths. First one, Potsies can't ride thrill rides.
The only thrill ride I won't ride is what will be the new Rock and Roller Coaster, and that's not because of POTS, that's because of Muppets. Otherwise, catch me on anything. I have no issues. I'm mindful of, making calculated decisions based on that, but they're all controlled environments and my doctors have all cleared me. But ask your doctor if you're nervous about it.
Absolutely. But also now we need to hear about what the Muppet thing is. Like, as quickly as you can, tell us the story.
They scare me. I'm scared of them. I am scared of the Muppets. Kermit haunts my nightmares. There you go. Now you're caught up.
Stop it. Oh my gosh. We need a whole nother episode about that. All right. Wow. I didn't know anybody was afraid of Muppets, but okay. All right. Myth. POTS is only about high heart rates. Myth. POTS is only about high heart rates.
Unfortunately, POTS is not just about high heart rates. It comes with a plethora of different symptoms, a lot of them being invisible. So dizziness, lightheadedness, pre-syncope, yucky feelings that can be like nausea, brain fog, anxiety, general fatigue.
So that's why it's really nice to have gurus who get it. We're very familiar with how horrible and how quickly they can make you feel like your trip is ruined. And so with some good preparation and wisdom and, generally being just a text away, we can make a vacation really, really solid and come back even when you're not feeling well.
All right, ladies, let's talk about personal stories and experiences that you've had managing POTS during a Disney trip. I know you guys both go a lot and you have a lot of stories, so bring them on. Let's talk.
I think one of my favorite stories was actually on my honeymoon, which we did a big Disney trip then. And I had made the absolutely horrific mistake. And again, got married at 22. It's all good. But we decided that we were going to drink around the world in Epcot, which fine.
Like 22-year-olds do, right?
Yes. And for those of you that don't know, alcohol and POTS can be kind of a unique combination. And depending upon what meds you take, you may or may not then be able to take the rescue meds. So it's a very calculated risk to take. And I was like, I'm feeling pretty good. It's January. It's not that hot. I'm feeling fantastic. I think that I can handle this. And by drink around the world, I mean that between the two of us, we had a drink in every country. And so I drank about half in half of the countries, because I am who I am, and that's okay. But I then managed to pull a quick little get into Guardians.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
I feel like even without the POTS addition to that could be a problem.
We're waiting in line and I'm feeling a little woozy and I'm like, uh-oh, this might not be good. And now my husband is kind of a chicken about roller coasters. And I say that with the utmost love, but like he was not going to go with me. There was no chance. So I'm by myself. I get adopted by a random family that think I'm the same age as their 16-year-old daughter.
Oh no.
We ride together and I passed out after.
Oh no.
Mildly traumatizing this family. Cast members came over, made sure I was okay. I explained like what was going on, that I was fine. I just needed to sit for a second, had my water bottle in my bag. We were all good. Sent my husband a text. They let him in through the exit to meet me and we were all okay. So I would advise not drinking around the world and then going on Guardians. That would be my pro tip.
Oh no.
But it does go to show that even when like you make the like not so calculated decision and decide to just like have fun, that things end up okay. Disney doesn't let you just be left on the floor.
Right.
And to be fair, I've seen people pass out after Guardians, and I don't know their health conditions, but I think that's a very intense ride. And you combine that with alcohol and heat, and, in January, it probably wasn't that hot, but I think they're used to having issues there. It did make me think of a question though about, do you wear like a medical alert bracelet, or do you have anything on you that in case you were to pass out, you have identification?
So I have the like emergency alert on my watch. And if I'm by myself, I do have a like little medical alert band that slides onto my Apple Watch. But if I'm out like with my husband or with family, I tend not to, just because I'm in good company. But if you're really worried about it, I would, although most like paramedics are told to check that like health history screen on like phones and watches. So make sure you have that set up. That's kind of up to you. I mean, for me, my like episodes of actually fainting are very, very brief. So by the time someone's like realized what's happening, I'm already kind of coming around to it. And I'm pretty quickly able to be like, no, I'm okay. Even if I can't necessarily communicate the whole picture, like I can at least convince someone that like 911 is not necessary immediately.
Okay, lucky.
so that's where I'm at. I know that that's different, and I think that based on where you are and what your like syncope experience tends to be, you should make that decision for yourself. But that's what I do.
Totally. Because like for me, I don't tend to come around quite as quickly. I'm a little incoherent after for a few minutes. And my worst nightmare is like, somebody's calling 911, like this is a little side tangent, but one time had passed out in a store and, like the first coherent memory I have is somebody standing over me saying, I know CPR. And I'm like, I am breathing. I am breathing. Please don't give me CPR. I'm pretty sure I was breathing the whole time. Oh my goodness. But anyway, so I actually use, like, I set my lock screen on my phone and it will say like emergency, like POTS, and then it'll have a phone number of like somebody to contact. I don't venture out a ton on my own, like in the theme parks, just because, risks and stuff. And I'm kind of new to venturing out on my own and stuff too. But when I do, just in case. I haven't need to use it yet, but I have that and my Apple Watch as well.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So what experiences have you had in the parks with your POTS flares?
Oh, let's see which one to choose from.
I went big, Hannah.
I know you did. So a couple come to mind. One right off the bat just also happens to be related to Guardians of the Galaxy as well. I love that ride so much, but I literally said before I got on, I'm like, if I die, I die. because I was with my friend who had never been on it. And I knew that like I stupidly had coffee and not food and wasn't like hadn't had my liquid IV yet. And I was feeling a little jumpy and I'm like, it's fine. If I die, I die. It'll be fine. So I didn't like fully pass out, but I was like scaring people because when the ride stopped, I was like, uh
Oh
and my
no.
friend's like, are you okay? But she was a nurse and also knew that I had POTS already. So she escorted me to the first aid place where I just like took my meds, propped my feet up. They gave me Powerade. I actually ended up sleeping for like 90 minutes. So I felt totally fine to go back into the parks after that, but that was not bright of me. The caffeine and Guardians mix, and I mean, I guess like the alcohol and Guardians mix for you. Not always the best combo for us.
If you're going to do one of the big thrill rides, you need to be in a little bit better of a state of equilibrium, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Which leads me to my next question, which is how do you plan your Disney itinerary to include breaks and minimize exhaustion, which can lead to the flares? Like, it sounds to me like we might need to think about not necessarily avoiding Guardians, but making sure it's maybe before coffee or after liquid IV or, like that sort of thing. But tell us, like, how do you plan your itinerary, but also client itineraries when you're preparing people for that kind of an experience?
I mean, I am pro a rest day within your itinerary or a rest afternoon. We tend to put Animal Kingdom in the middle of our trip because it closes earlier, and then do a very, very much rest evening / pool evening, because that's something that helps my symptoms. I know that helps a lot of people. The like unique situation of being in water helps a ton of people as far as the like less gravity. The science on that, not 1,000% sure, but it helps. So
Okay.
We also always do a popcorn bucket because it's a very, very easy, high sodium, keeps me moving snack that does not break the bank at Disney, and the lines are never very long. And so once you have your bucket, you're pretty good to hand it off to somebody else, even in your travel party, to fill it for you. And then you have it when you're waiting in lines, when you're wherever. So that's something that also helps. And then a stocked park bag is huge. And making sure you do actually sleep and actually eat and take your meds at the times you normally take your meds.
Yes.
Keeping some of that routine that you normally function in is kind of the key for me, along with it's okay if maybe one morning we just don't make it to rope drop. Like, I'm not moving fast enough. It's just not going to happen. Or we tap out before fireworks because then we get back to our resort a little bit faster. That's okay too.
Totally. Yeah, I had to learn the hard way before I was diagnosed, with keeping the routine, keeping the consistent body environment, like as much as possible. I would just be like, yeah, but like I don't really, I mean, these vitamins are not like super important when I'm on vacation and whatever. And then just anything that throws you off a little bit is like, no. So yeah, definitely keeping that consistency as much as possible. And for me, I'm like I like to do early mornings and late nights, so I'm a midday breaker. Like if I can come back, rest, refresh, kind of like reassess the plan for the evening, like what I'll be able to handle or whatever. I love that. And then I will like seek out certain rides to like chill in the AC or like just prop my feet up for a few minutes, just to take a breather. I love the shows for that, like because if you're hustling and then you get a nice long break, does me some good. Yeah, eat some of that salty popcorn. I'm a popcorn bucket girly too.
So you mentioned the salt and the liquid IV. So I'm catching on to something here. So I hear that sleep is important, hydration is important, and now it sounds like maybe salt, like intake. Is that part of the whole mixture that we're dealing with?
Yeah. So for most people, the blood volume in POTS is low. I mean, this is all kind of dependent on how it comes, but either you have just generally low blood pressure. A lot of people have low blood volume. So keeping that sodium up helps the vasoconstriction, which keeps your blood from pooling in your feet and keeps it up in your head. So you are less dizzy and less likely to have that like pre-syncope or fainting. So sodium is a key. Hannah and I have shared many an electrolyte recommendation with each other. Hey, I'm getting bored with the flavor I have. What do you like?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my word. Yeah, I'm a total liquid IV girly. Like, I drink it first thing in the morning, like someone would drink their coffee. And then I always bring extra when I'm going to be in the heat or even just moving a lot, even when it's not hot, just moving a lot in the theme parks. I'm pounding the liquid IV. And I've had times where I was feeling really crappy and I've just dumped it straight into my mouth, because sometimes you need a little rescue pick me up. And it really does. It really helps. Like I'll go from having like cold hands and that just kind of yucky, foggy feeling to like, all right, I could go on Slinky Dog Dash in like 3 minutes.
Wow, that's quite the turnaround. And I have to say, because we just did an episode a little bit ago about dealing with the heat in the theme parks, and I'm also a liquid IV girl. I actually have some in my cup right now as we're doing this. And it's
Sponsor us, Liquid IV.
right. Wouldn't that be great?
Oh my gosh.
So sick.
I buy it on the TikTok shop, and Firecracker is my current favorite.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. And Firecracker plus blue cotton candy, apparently, like that is a thing now, which it's pretty tasty. I will say the idea of dumping the packet right into my mouth, though, like slays me because I put in like 24 ounces of water. I probably do like a quarter of the package. So like, but clearly
one of my friends ordered a margarita just to get me a lime at one point so that I could squirt it on my hand to dump an entire salt packet on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Relatable content.
All right.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Exactly.
That made it a little bit more pleasant than just like ripping open the salt packet.
They were probably waiting for you to do body shots because if I remember from college, you'd put like the little like lemon or lime on your arm and then, we won't have to go down that road too far, but not that I did it, Dad, but there were definitely things about that. Right? I'm so scandalous now. My dad would be like, whatever, you're about 50 years old. I think we're fine. But okay, that's good. And I also have to say that like what you're saying, I think as far as like scheduling, I know some people really like the rest day. Maybe it's my age, but I do it the way Hannah does it. Like is the get up early in the morning, take advantage of the lower lines, the cooler temperatures, and then I choose my hotel based on the pool because I'm a pool girly. I want to spend time at my resort and then go back at night. But I feel like that might be a reason why you might really recommend a park hopper to somebody that has pots over a base ticket, right? Just the ability to kind of decide which. Jen, you mentioned the thing about there are parks that are better for pots. And now I really have to ask that question. That was not something I even knew to ask, but I feel like me and our listeners need to hear which park and why. Like how does that work?
Hollywood Studios is the hardest for me.
Oh, Hannah, you agree too?
I totally agree.
Okay. All right. Spill the tea, guys.
I think there's the least shade. I feel like there are fewer places that I enjoy being that have good AC.
Okay.
Like I'm huffing it all the way over to ABC Commissary, from wherever I'm at. And
and like I don't have like tiny people that make it like reasonable for me to be in like the Disney Junior Dance Party or anything like that, Right. So we're kind of just like trekking. So if I'm really not feeling well, we will move Hollywood Studios to a different day with a quickness. I also love Tower of Terror, and Tower of Terror, when I don't feel well, is just not a good combination.
No. Oh, gosh.
But a trip doesn't feel complete to me unless I've been on it. That's one of my, like, I have to do it every single time, along with Rise. Like, those are my two in Hollywood Studios. I have to do them every trip, or it just doesn't. It just doesn't feel like a trip. But if I'm not feeling well, neither of these are good things.
Yeah.
Rise 2, that line is so long, and then you spend so much time in the like build up to getting seated. I have sat on the floor in front of stormtroopers more times than I care to admit. But you know, things happen. So that's the hardest park for me.
So wait a second, before we move on and hear what the best park is, have you tried Vacation Land, the little movie that's over next to Meeting Olaf and the Frozen thing? Because
I sure have.
Yeah.
that's my napping spot.
Yeah.
First of all, I love that movie, but the seats are comfortable and the AC is legit in that space. So you do know about that. Okay.
I do.
It doesn't redeem the park. Okay.
It's not that I don't love Hollywood Studios.
Sure.
It just is not, if I'm not feeling well, I don't want to spend so much of my day in that area where there are other parks where there are more indoor sports that I would rather.
Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense because if you think about, you guys mentioned the show aspect. Well, Beauty and the Beast is outside, so you're not getting any AC. You have shade, but it's not giving you much relief. There's really no place to like lean back either because the bench seating in there. So I could see. And then if we're worried about blood pooling in our feet, sitting on a Tower of Terror and doing the drop and all of that, like I don't think the blood's staying where it belongs easily. So I get that. I get that. All right. So what is a good park for if you're feeling like something coming on?
Animal Kingdom's really good for me. I struggle in Animal Kingdom food wise for other reasons, but there's enough like quiet little spots where you can sit and look at things. And it's not that hard to find shade. And I would happily sit and look at animals for quite some time. So I'm pretty happy. And you can always go over and like see the like animation class and sit in there and go on that little trek. So that's one that I can find some good entertainment even when I'm not feeling well.
Yeah.
I would say Magic Kingdom is the second for me. I don't know where.
Best?
Yeah. I don't know where you're at on that, Hannah.
Yeah, I would say Magic Kingdom is either best or second best for me. And then Animal Kingdom would be right up there next to it. For the same reasons in Animal Kingdom, lots of shady little spots where it doesn't feel like there's always a ton of people like crowded around too. So if, I've 100% plopped myself on the ground and propped my feet up on a stone bench somewhere or whatever, or I'm just chilling in there looking at the otters. Yeah, 100%. And at Magic Kingdom, I feel like it's pretty easy to AC hop, so I don't know. Yeah, maybe Magic Kingdom is my number one for that reason.
It does feel like there are some really good, let's say good attractions, but in Magic Kingdom that have AC, like Carousel of Progress, which is a nice, relaxing, long-term one. And you guys can't see it, but Jen's definitely given the
love.
Yeah. And then you have a Hall of Presidents. And then, there are definitely some of those spaces over there that I think makes sense if you're looking for AC. Even Dumbo in the little tent area, which especially for Hannah, you have the littles. I think that space makes sense because the kids can be really entertained as long as you need to sit there. But I will say that I've seen a lot of adults sitting there too. So it's not like, Jen, you can't go hanging out in there.
I definitely have.
Yeah. It's a nice spot.
It doesn't have AC, but one of my favorite places, and I will admit this to just our listeners, so don't tell too many people. Well, listeners and our clients. The area that's outside Pete's Silly Sideshow over there in the circus area of, Magic Kingdom. That's the park. Yep. There's like a little area that's covered over there with tons of chairs and tables and outlets. Right over next to Silly Sideshow is one of my favorite places to hang out. And it's almost nobody knows about it. Like people walk by, don't know what's really going on in there. I've done so many just TikTok videos and they go viral because people are like, where are you? Somebody told me last time it wasn't Magic Kingdom. And I was like, okay, that's fine. It is. But whatever. You can.
Oh my word, what the heck?
Yeah, exactly. You know, social media. It's always a fun place to hang out. All right. I have one more question, though, because we didn't talk about Epcot. So I feel like that means it's in the middle of the four. So what are we feeling about Epcot?
I love Epcot if I have planned Epcot.
Mhm.
If I am at the mercy of others in Epcot, Epcot can quickly become horrible. But if I am in control, Epcot is great.
Sounds like the story of my life.
You can AC hop really easily in Epcot.
Mhm.
There are lots of good snack options, and I am a snacker, not a large meal person. That's something that helps my symptoms a lot. So a day in Epcot's great. You can convince people to just do like small plates the whole day. But if you're with people that are really, really insistent on drinking around the world, you need to be prepared for that in a way that maybe I was not quite prepared for.
Okay.
I also am always happy to sit in Mexico and soak in AC and just vibe.
That's a nice place to vibe. It really is.
It is.
Is your experience at Epcot similar?
Yeah, I would say so. I try to strategically plan to not be zigzagging in Epcot because, coming in and out of World Showcase and stuff, trying to get to Lightning Lanes, it's like I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna do things in order as best as I can to not be, zooming around too much. So, but yeah, it is pretty good also for AC hopping. And also like if people want to be in the nearby pavilions and they're shopping or drinking or doing whatever, there's always a place where you can just kind of plop down somewhere and catch some AC. So
Welcome to Ask a Travel Agent, where we answer questions that travelers often wonder about, even if they haven't thought about asking it yet. Let's dive into today's question, which is, what medical supplies or helpful gadgets should travelers with POTS bring along in their park bags?
So although maybe not the cutest, compression socks are a addition to every park outfit, usually with a second pair in my bag, because sometimes I just can't resist running through a water feature. And wet compression socks are the worst. So I keep an extra pair in my bag, but just that constriction helps so much when you're on your feet all day. Make sure you don't forget any rescue meds you take. I have my Zofran and then a couple things for my POTS too. You just don't want to go without. You don't want to have to run back to your resort, especially if you're not feeling well. So keeping all of those meds that you use regularly handy. And then I'm also a huge fan of instant ice packs. They're the ones that you just like press on and they get colds.
Genius.
Putting that like on my chest or on my neck can really kind of help rebalance the autonomic nervous system. There's a whole science thing behind like the ice dive on the face. It drops your heart rate really, really quickly. So that's a handy tool to have that very, very cold ice pack.
Yes, I need to take notes from this myself because I am one to bring like the cooling towels, but I I will take like an insulated tumbler filled with ice and keep the cooling towels in there so that they're like freezing ice cold. And again, yeah, like the neck just to lower your heart rate. But the instant ice pack sounds a lot less gross. Genius. So I'm definitely gonna take a note from your book. And then, of course, my little hand fan is with me like 24/7. I mean, they don't work fantastically when it's not cool out. Like they work better inside than outside, is what I mean to say. But I'm using it all the time, and I like the hand fan a lot better than I like the neck fan. It is something else to carry around, but like I don't want to just fan the underside of my face. I want to get that thing everywhere, cooling myself off. So, and then of course, electrolytes. I'm a huge liquid IV girly, like we were talking before. So I'm one time made the mistake of just bringing like one packet per day because that's what I'm used to at home. But no, I had to grocery order that to my resort real quick because that was not cutting it. I'm like 2 or 3 a day when it's hot in the parks. So, yep, keeping stocked up on that.
Park days are when I pull out the the big dogs, which is the Trioral. If you haven't heard of that, it's the electrolyte solution that was created by WHO that they distribute in countries that are really, really struggling as far as like water sources and like digestive diseases, which sounds horrible, but it's just a huge dose of electrolytes. It doesn't taste good, but it can be made better with Diet Coke. That's my pro tip.
Okay. Note to self.
There's also a few things that come with us on every trip. Maybe they don't end up in the park bag, but one of mine is I'm a weighted blanket girl. Helps keep my joints feeling sane and helps with some of that, like, especially after a more intense day, some of that like calm down anxiety. But I'm not going to fly with a weighted blanket. So I've discovered the beauty of a compression sleep sack. It gives worm a little bit. You got to like crawl into it. But it just like hugs you in all the right ways. And so that helps me get some good sleep so that I can have a better park day the next day too. KT tape is another one of mine.
Oh, yeah.
Kinesio tape.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of bringing my whole collection of braces, we just bring a roll of Kinesio and can kind of pull anything together that's not cooperating.
Mm-hmm.
I also use my forearm crutches on most flights because I struggle to stand while waiting to board. And then I have them if I do need them in the park, but they're a getting me pre-boarded life hack, and usually through TSA with a little bit of a further quickness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I will say I'm not a light packer, and some of it is for good reason. I'm bringing extra clothes all the time. Like I can't. It just makes me so hot to be wearing the same thing, that same sweaty, nasty thing all day. So I'm packing like 3 outfits a day. So that's something definitely extra that I've got back in the room. And then not something that I bring with me, but I always order a case of water to the room. So that I'm not, I have to be super hydrated all the time, but so that I'm not spending $4, $5, $6 a pop on bottled water in the parks too. And I recommend that for all my clients, not just, extra hydrators.
All right, so now that we've talked about all of these little things, what's popping up to me is the idea about summer presenting some real unique challenges, because I'm hearing that heat is definitely something that brings about or exacerbates flares. Do you guys still go during the summer? Do you avoid it? What's your favorite time to go? Like, where are we falling with being able to avoid heat in Central Florida?
Yeah, I mean, so there's like no guarantee to avoid it no matter when you go. I've gone in January or November and had it be 90 degrees. So, Florida things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I still travel in summer, but I tend to keep my trips shorter and way chiller in summer. Like my itinerary is small. I'll just have a few points like, okay, if I can hit this, everything else is icing.
Mm-hmm.
And try to plan those for earlier and later in the day, like especially after dark is amazing. So I really love going around Christmas time because I feel like it is like warm enough during the day usually to jump in the pool mid-afternoon, and then cool enough for a sweatshirt at night. So it keeps me the most comfortable and the least, heat-related symptom flary. But I'm always coming prepared no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm a late winter, early spring is my favorite, or like late fall.
Mm-hmm.
Also avoid crowds a little bit in those times. That's part of why I tend not to be a like actually Christmas time visitor.
Yeah.
I typically will pick other destinations during the summer unless there's like, if friends are going or if gurus are going, then I of course try and go, or if there's an event at Disney in particular that I'm really interested in. But I tend to avoid in the summer just because it takes a long time for me after I get back from my trip to feel well again when I do those summer trips.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
If I need a fix of Disney, I'm more likely to go on a Disney cruise during the summer.
Gotcha. You're smarter than me. I planned a trip for August just because like I really can't stay away from the new nighttime parade and also like the villains show and stuff. So I planned a little baby trip and then I'm just kind of building in like a couple of days after I get back to recover from the trip instead of being there for 5 days. I'll be there for 3 and recover for a couple because same, like I coming from 110 degrees and 1,000% humidity back to Maine is like a shock to the system, even in the summer. So I totally agree. Recovery
I'm
time is high.
I'm also pro Disneyland in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the humidity is not existent. So even though it's hot,
Well, I'm also from California, so that heat is a little bit more familiar to me.
Totally. Yeah.
So, and it's just a smaller park. Like in my opinion, less guilt about taking a resort break in the middle of the day.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I went to Disneyland for the first time in the summer and I was scared. Like I was newly diagnosed with POTS, so I was like,
Oh
not
no.
summer, not the theme park in the summer, I'm gonna die. But thankfully, I mean, even though the locals were like, man, this is humid. This is more humid than we ever, I was like, oh, this is fantastic. Like it's 90 degrees and it feels like 75 compared to Florida. Like I was not even sweating. I was like, yeah, very good point. Disneyland in the summer. Taking notes for myself too.
Disneyland or Disney cruises in the summer, Disney
Mhm.
World kind of the rest of the time.
You got it.
I'm here for that for sure. So, what should families or friends traveling with somebody who has POTS know in advance about how to help and support them during their vacation?
I would say, right, don't call 911 on your forehead.
Oh,
But seriously, like that's, man, like I just traveled with a fellow guru, Tara, for the first time for an AEP recently in Disney World. And I was like, okay, how to debrief her without scaring her. Um, don't call 911 unless I like hit my head or something. But yeah, I was glad that we did have the debriefing ahead of time because I ended up having a bit of an episode one of the nights while I was there, and I had already talked to her about like I'm gonna be okay. I just need to do XYZ, and she was very lovely and supportive. But yeah, definitely not taking anyone off guard. It's key.
yeah. And I love the fact that you prepare people for that piece because had I not known and you started to have a flare or you passed out, my training in working in education would have been 911 first and ask questions later.
Right.
So being able to understand that that is the case would slow my roll for sure. I'd love to have you share a little bit of that story, that the age and education program that you mentioned, AEP. I would love to hear just a little bit about how Disney accommodated you during that, because I know we talked a little bit about how Disney is not always accommodating, but they really did take good care of you. And I would love to just share that because I think people sometimes think only about problems that might happen in the theme park, but you actually ran into an issue back at your hotel and they really showed up.
I did, yeah. Yeah. So I ended up having a super, super high heart rate when I was trying to fall asleep that night. Just probably whatever combination of traveling nerves, it was my first AEP. And so I ended up calling the paramedics actually, just to make sure that like I was all good. I could get my heart rate under control. It was like almost 200 when I was trying to fall asleep. So I was like, ooh, let's make sure I'm okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, Disney was super, like people were starting to crowd around outside the door and they were like, get out of here. Like leave her alone. Like let her have some space, whatever. And they checked in with me the next morning several times. They made sure like we can bring you a wheelchair. We can give you transportation if you need it from one place to the other. They actually made sure that I had a room ready at the resort that I was transferring to that day so that I wouldn't have just kind of like the dead space in between in the lobby if I was still feeling yucky. So I really appreciated that. It
Nice.
felt it felt above and beyond, especially with Jen, you're I'm sure familiar with being treated like, I don't know, invisible illness is just really hard because people are like, you don't look sick to me, and yeah.
Well, and Hannah, we're both pretty like high achieving, like conventionally fit in with like what's expected of like young women, and then suddenly we're on the floor and feel like we're dying. So it's hard to explain when maybe earlier in the day someone had seen you feeling totally fine.
Yeah, and that reminds me a little bit of the idea too. And for everybody that's listening to this, whether you have an invisible illness or you happen to love someone that does, or you just happen to be in the company or in the vicinity of someone that does, just a reminder not to judge people. You may see someone using a wheelchair that you noticed early in the morning, right? And they weren't in a wheelchair. Or maybe they're using a scooter and you're like, you're 24 years old. What are you doing in a scooter, right? Mind your business, right? Like keep your eyes on your own paper, which is the new thing my husband's been saying. But like the reality is like there are absolutely people dealing with things that are not your business, but also that it's not your place to understand. And if that's what they need to do, trust that the people that need to know, and go on your merry way. Get yourself some popcorn, get a churro, right? Like do your thing. And I know it's hard, and I know that like there's a lot of things. I have been in a situation where I needed to use a scooter a couple times due to some issues that I was having. And I know people, there was actually a gentleman that said to me once, he's like, I saw you park that thing and walk. And I turned around, and of course, you know me, I have my little sassy pants. I turned around and went, great, your eyes work. Congratulations.
Oh no.
And like kept walking because I was like, the heck? I am not here to share my story with you, especially being judgmental, right? Like, so, and I know that there are people that have serious, lifelong, invisible things that they're dealing with. So it's different than what I had to deal with once. But if someone's going to open their mouth, sass them back. Sass them back. That's my thing.
I'm taking notes because I probably would have cried if somebody said that to me.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about that all day. We should do a sassy pants episode because I don't have patience for people that judge others or judge me. Like I feel like that's just a thing that we're not gonna do. Speaking of the wheelchair and the scooter access, is that something that you have found helpful to you? Have you used those services? Do you feel like it's something that is a good tool in your toolbox, or is it something that you've not found the need for?
So for me, I have other stuff going on too. Like I have Ehlers-Danlos, which for the Potsy crew, that's not going to sound super unfamiliar. But the like wear and tear for me of like actually pushing a wheelchair is so brutal on my shoulders that it ends up kind of being a whole other issue. And if I'm particularly dizzy, I really don't want myself driving a motorized vehicle, scooter or not. That's a you're welcome everybody else situation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I tend not to go that direction. I mean, yes, I could sit in the wheelchair and have a travel buddy like push me the whole time, but at that point, I feel like I'm losing so much of the independence that I value in going to Disney. Like part of the reason I love Disney is that I'm able to be very independent and self-sustaining within the parks, and I don't need a whole lot. But that's where I'm at on it. I think it totally depends on what your whole picture is. I have clients that it's going to be a scooter every time, and I love that for them, and I'm always happy to, help them make that happen. But I think that's one that you kind of have to know yourself a little bit, and Hannah and I can both speak to. We can help you get these tools, but we can't necessarily promise that this is the right tool for you specifically.
Right, absolutely. So these conversations ahead of time are so important.
Yeah, I think, and it makes sense to me that if you're dealing with a particular issue, struggle, that you would want to partner with a travel agent that understands, that speaks that same language, right? Like we all do consultations with our clients, but if someone says to you like, hey, I have POTS, you now have unlocked a whole nother set of questions and things to explore because like almost any challenge that people face, I think it's not the same with every person, right? So to your point, like your POTS might show up this way, yours might be this way. A wheelchair might make sense for some people and completely exacerbate it for other people. But being able to speak to that and talk to a travel agent who's like, I got you. Like, let's talk about what this looks like. And I know I have a lot of teachers that like, I can only travel in the summer. You guys have the tools to figure out, here's how we're going to manage the POTS in the parks during the summer. You don't have to only go in January. But hey, if your job allows that, that might be the time you're going to be able to do a longer trip, right? And, all of that. So I love that customization is part of just how we look at travel planning as a whole. But it makes sense to be able to say, like, Jen, I don't have to explain to you all this other stuff. Or Hannah, like, I know you had that thing happen at Animal Kingdom Lodge. Like, where is the best place for me to hang out there if I'm struggling, and, that sort of thing. So I like that a lot. I will say one other tip that you guys didn't mention, but that I have now realized leading trips with gurus. So we travel a lot as a group. We don't often have our families with us. So it tends to be like a gaggle of gurus, if you will. And my new rule is I have to have your significant other's contact information in my phone before we leave. Because somebody that does not have a condition like POTS, but literally ended up in the hospital on our last trip. I was like, luckily she didn't lose consciousness and I was able to like get the phone number I needed out of her. But I was like, we were in the waiting room of the emergency room going, I don't know how to reach anybody in her family.
Ooh,
and so to me, that's a little tip too. Like if you're going with anybody, whether they have POTS or not, having a little switcheroo of contact information, because although you might come back quickly, if there is something that you need to reach a family member, that's important too. And even if maybe they're back at the hotel, but wherever they happen to be, reaching out is going to be helpful too. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. A huge thank you to Hannah and Jen for joining us and sharing such important and eye-opening information about POTS. Your insights are not only valuable to me and to our listeners, but truly empowering for anyone navigating travel with this condition or others. There is help out there, guys. If you have any questions or want to connect with Jen or Hannah, don't hesitate to reach out. Actually, ladies, we're going to have your information in the show notes, but why don't you give us your email address and maybe your number one social platform if you'd like to do that. Jen?
Sure. My email is jen.sutton@mickyguru.com. And my number one social would be my Instagram, which is MickeyGuru_Jen Sutton. And it's 1N Jen. I am not a 2N Jen. I am a 1N Jen. And I feel very strongly about this. There you go.
Awesome. And yeah, my email is hannah@mickyguru.com with an H on both ends. And my biggest social is probably also Instagram, where I'm MickeyGuru_Hannah.
Awesome. And like I said, that is all going to be right in the show notes as well, so that you can get in touch with them in a heartbeat. Feel free to reach out. They are incredible resources and passionate advocates, as you can tell. But not only that, they're pretty freaking fantastic travel advisors. So whether you're looking to visit Disney or Universal or a Disney cruise or anywhere, they are the people to contact, and they are going to make sure that you have an absolutely unforgettable time. So we appreciate you guys being here with us, and thank you to everybody listening. We'll see you real soon.